It's a disease that can cause excruciating pain, sickle cell disease. 2 million Americans have sickle cell trait, in which red blood cells are shaped like crescent moons or sickles. This can block the flow of blood to the brain or other organs, causing sometimes unbearable pain.
The only known cure right now is bone marrow transplant, but we're limited by the fact that there aren't many matches. The best outcomes come from a bone marrow transplant where the donor is a sibling. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of patients who have donors with a good match.
And now we're going to take a closer look at the impact the disease has had on one local family. Carlet Cleare is here now. She did the report. You reported on this originally. And for a lot of people, I've heard, whenever I think of or I've heard of sickle cell, I always think of it in relation to African Americans. Is that true?
A large part of it is true. African Americans, Hispanic Americans, even they have the highest rate. They're more likely to have the disease. Okay. But then also folks from like in the Mediterranean, there are it's a larger population.
Interesting.
But just African Americans and Hispanics have the highest rate
yeah.
of that. Like 1 in 12 African Americans and I think 1 in 33 Latino Americans.
And you focused on a family. Why don't you tell us about the family and how you found them?
Well, the family is the Hannahs, so it was Eric, Destiny, Rosa, and then they have Eric Jr., their son. I actually knew the father for some years, and he was expressing how challenging it is to have 2 children who have the disease. And the thing was, his wife is Latina, and he's African American, and they didn't realize that they had the sickle cell trait.
Really?
No, until they had their first child. And then they realized when his, he had swelling of the hands and feet, and that's initially how the onset is as an infant. And they realized that their son had it. So it's really important for people in the community to get your blood checked to see if you have the trait. Because if you have the trait, if both parents have the trait, then likely your child will have the disease.
Okay.
But is there anything you can do for yourself preventatively if you do have the trait?
No, I think you're just a carrier of it.
Okay.
And you just want to make sure the person that you link up with either doesn't have it so that your child would just be a carrier and not have the disease. So,
right. So get tested is what they're saying. You know, if you're African American or Latino, or you may have a prevalence of it in your family, get tested. Make sure you're not passing this along to your kids.
Absolutely.
It's a painful disease, right?
Yes, excruciating. I had a little bit of video of the father's been chronicling the journey of his kids as they go through crises, and I heard a little bit of Destiny, their daughter, when she was in the hospital, and her just belting out, yelling, because she was in so much pain. And her mother was telling me how it's spiritually taxing because she gets angry at God. Because why, her daughter's saying, why would God do this to me? I'd rather not be here because I want the pain to stop. And she gets crises, maybe she says 2 or 3 times a year, but she's in the emergency room at least once a week.
So what can she do, like in terms of taking care of herself, and how long can a person live with this illness?
They have it for the rest of their life. So it's a chronic pain disease.
Wow.
She has to be careful what she eats, making sure her diet is well. The family has to make sure the house is clean because germs can trigger it. Stress, keep her stress levels low because stress can trigger it. And since they have both kids that have the disease, if the son, Eric Jr., he currently lives in Arizona, if he has a crisis, the mother has to make sure she keeps Destiny, her daughter, calm, because if she gets riled up, she can go into a crisis. So
when we say crises, is that kind of like an episode?
It's an episode, a pain episode, and that's when the cells jam up in their arteries or in their veins and clog the blood flow of oxygen to all parts of the body.
That's incredible.
And a way that Destiny, she described it as burning in her blood. I don't know if we know that. Or it's like and we all know what it's like to your arm or leg to fall asleep, and that's only for a few minutes, but she's like, imagine that for
all the time.
Maybe a month, and then you get up and it's so much pain. Or she would liken it to one time she yelled, to her mother, she felt like her arm was broken.
I see. That's
Well,
incredible that they live with that.
So interesting. Thank you for sharing the story with us, and thanks to the family for
for
the
opening
family
up.
for
Yeah, because they just want to bring awareness to it, because they feel like not very many people understand what their kids go through.
Well, they've done that. They've done that, and we thank them, like Adam said, for being open about it. And thank you, Carlet.
Thank you
For coming to join us.
Yes,
It's our
on the
first
couch.
time on the
Carlet
couch
Cleare
with us.
on the couch.
On the couch. Better normal, yes.
Hey, thunderstorms overnight. We're going to have some wind. Will there be any rain with that? Folks heading out to the Lilac Festival sure want to know. Marty will be back with the answer.